A very good afternoon to all our viewers. Thanks for tuning into NDTV. This is the Southern View. For the next half hour, we'll take you across Southern India, bring you the top stories. And of course, my colleagues from Andhra Pradesh, Uma, we have Sam Daniel and Vijay from Tamil Nadu. We'll also have, of course, Ashish from Andhra Pradesh and my colleague Ritu from Bengaluru. All of them, of course, bringing you everything that matters in the southern part of India. First up, of course, as far as the city of Bengaluru, the Silicon Valley is concerned, there have been several issues, perennial problems of infrastructure, potholes on the roads, puddles forming when it rains, waterlogged streets, name it, and these problems exist. Now, for the last several weeks, of course, NDTV has been carrying out a lot of campaigns around the civic mess, from school buses nearly toppling to children being rescued through emergency doors, to people falling in potholes, some of them losing their lives. So many problems have been plaguing the city. On the other hand, you have school children who say they spent 3 hours on a school bus. These are the kind of problems that exist. While we've been going to the ground and speaking to the people who are suffering, they are asking who do we hold accountable. And that's the reason NDTV went to DK Shivakumar, who's the Minister for Bengaluru, and asked him all of these questions. Is there a solution to these problems? Are these mere promises that are being made? Take a listen to this entire conversation with the Deputy Chief Minister of Karnataka as he answers the questions about the potholes, about the suffering of the people, about the CEOs wanting to exit the outer ring road, and much more. It's the dawn of a new era for Bengaluru as the BBMP goes away and the Greater Bengaluru Authority comes into the picture. Now, the brain and the vision behind the Greater Bengaluru Authority, of course, is the Deputy Chief Minister and the Bangalore Minister, Mr. DK Shivakumar. He joins us today on NDTV. Sir, thank you for speaking to NDTV. Firstly, tell us, a lot of people say, will a change of name, is this a mere change of name or is this completely going to transform Bengaluru? Tell us, what is your vision behind the Greater Bengaluru Authority and how is it going to transform the city?
See, definitely we have looked at all aspects. We want to change the governance and what are the problems of Bangalore, because Bangalore has become very big. It was unable to manage. That is why we have deployed too much of staff in the lower level. We have increased the wards with 198 wards, whatever the infrastructure was there, whatever the officers were looking at was very short. Now we decide, because there is a lot of people coming to Bangalore, the population has increased. That is why we decided, we made it 5 corporations. And for the bigger projects of Bangalore, we have made it a Greater Bangalore. We have kept the 74th Amendment intact.
Yeah.
So, in order to help the citizens of Bangalore keep city clean, and see that all these problems will be sorted out, we have decided to make a GBA and the 5 corporations.
Interesting that you say this, because a few days ago I visited around the Madhepura area, Sarjapur, Vartur. Here people are saying that because it's the border of the BBMP limits, a lot of struggle, confusion about funding. Do you think that the GBA will be able to resolve these sort of minor issues?
All that area, whatever they are speaking, is not in the GBA. It is out of the GBA. Some of area in the panchayat limits, some of the area in the corporation limits. That is why we wanted to bring all those area in the corporation limits. Now, as on today, we have not brought the entire area of Madhepura in the corporation limits. Because the population for a normally assembly segment will have about 2.5 lakhs voters. Now it is 3.5 times the more. 3.5 the more. That is only for the 2 assembly segments we have made 1 corporation. To make some corporation, there are big challenges connected with that. We are on the way in the process. I have deputed a separate corporation for especially that area to be problems to be resolved, and we are at it.
Interesting that you say particularly about this area, because a lot of IT, people working in the IT sector, they are saying that we pay the highest number of taxes. Why aren't we getting enough facilities? Yesterday and the last couple of days, we've seen a lot of chorus. The CEO of a popular company, a firm, has said that he'll move out of Belandur. When you listen to all of this, how does it make you feel as a Bangalore?
I wish him all good luck for him. If he wants, if he doesn't satisfied about this manpower, this talent, these facilities, I can't stop him. But no one can threaten the government. I'm telling this on record. They can't threaten the government. We are there to serve the people of the state. We know our responsibility. This is Bangalore. He knows that before doing business here, everything is there. No, I'm telling you, you take it from record. No one will go out of Bangalore. Since their financial or their business problem, they might have some business problem. They may looking at blackmailing a government will not work for them.
Then you
They
have
want-
Mr. Nara Lokesh who comes and says, come to Vizag.
Let them go, please. Let them go. Who said? Who is stopping them? No one can match Bangalore. What infrastructure we have creating, we are doing it. No one, no. Why are they not asking the central government, Modi government or the central government to give money? They are paying taxes directly, no. Why are not they asking money? Why are none of the parliament member raised any question? Why are not they bringing money for Bangalore? It is only the state government who has taken a very big risk. I have taken a big risk of 1.25 crores. 1.25 crores we are investing for Bangalore for the next 3-4 years. It is not a small job.
You put out a social media post just yesterday. Again, crores of rupees being pumped into Bangalore to fix potholes. We just drove across a stretch which was a little bumpy. These are the sort of issues that people face on a regular basis.
See, yesterday night there was a big rain.
Yeah.
You see in the main road itself.
Yeah.
One night itself, it created a big, I think more than 4,000-5,000 potholes have been added. Even all the main road, we are putting white tapping road. We know responsibility. Let them come, let them ask. We are there to sort out their problem. But you can't threaten us.
Yeah.
Once because some other minister calls them, I can also call them.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. Bangalore is not a competition to any other part of the country. Bangalore has its own systematic. Before coming to Bangalore, everyone looks at Bangalore. Why they came to Bangalore? Because they can earn here, they can look at their fortunes. All the Fortune 500 companies are there. Let it take the move side. Whomever you want, let
So
it
one
take
is
it.
about the companies. A bunch of young children put out a post, talking
That is-
about how much time they're taking
That is
in a
all.
school bus.
That is all politics. I am telling you, that is all politics. We can't make a flyover for every school. For the first time in the history of Karnataka and Bangalore, 111 kilometers, 12 kilometers flyover, and 44 kilometers of the elevated double-decker has been designed. I have gone to the cabinet, got it approved. Tender process is going on. It is not a small job.
Okay.
Not a small job. Bangalore is growing like anything. Every day, hundreds of companies are coming to Bangalore. The population earlier was just from 40 lakhs, it has come to 1.4 crores, and more than 75 lakhs are coming to Bangalore daily.
So you set a deadline of November to fix the potholes. In the past as well, deadlines have been set. For people, what's the assurance that DK Shivkumar gives to
No,
the people of Bangalore?
I am telling you, I don't want to give any false promises.
Yeah.
I have asked my officers to give a commitment. To give a commitment. I had a meeting with them, given up the responsibility.
Yeah.
2 responsibilities I have given to them. One is cleanliness of Bangalore. Number 2 is the potholes, to make this road ready. They are at it and we will do it. It is not there are a lot of courts intervening. I am telling you on record again. Lot of courts are intervening.
Okay.
They are giving a lot of stays. For whatever the decisions the government has given, every small issue, even on the bill which has been cleared by the governor of Karnataka, they are giving a stay.
Okay.
I don't want to comment much on the judiciary.
So
For
very,
the small individual problems, they are giving a stay on the government bills itself.
okay. So you've spoken in detail about Bengaluru. One very quick question I want to add. Mr. Rahul Gandhi has just held a press conference again about electoral fraud. He's spoken about Aland constituency where votes have been deleted, and he says that the CID has been writing to the election commission time and again but hasn't got a response. What would you like to say about this?
Of course, Aland constituency, I have also made a very thorough check on it. The election commission is not cooperating in it. They have to give the data. We will go for a big this one. How can they delete such a big number? We were very alert on the system.
Yeah.
Somehow we could stop a very big number.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the prospects of our party would have been changed. Now also they have done a lot of issues, and the Central Election Commission is not cooperating to give data.
Lastly, what would you like to say to the opposition here in Karnataka, which attacks you on various fronts, be it inauguration of Dasara, be it Ganesha processions, terming you all anti-Hindu? How would you like to reply to them?
We will reply on it. Let them come on the debate on some other thing. I'll reply to them.
Well, that was...
But one thing I would like to tell, either it is in industries, whether of the investments, or the school children, all this is politics. I can also make hundreds of this one. Why the BJP MLA in the Madhepura area is not speaking anything?
Well, that's as far as the issues in Karnataka are concerned. Now over to my colleague Sam Daniel in Chennai there, where he brings you all the breaking updates from Tamil Nadu.
Thank you, Deepak. Let's begin with a breaking story. Thank you, Deepak. Congress leader Karti Chidambaram, a lawmaker, has taken on the AIADMK, calling it a party that has become a subsidiary to the BJP. He claims that for every minor internal problem, AIADMK leaders are flying to Delhi to meet Amit Shah, Home Minister Amit Shah, a senior leader with the AIADMK. And AIADMK has denied these allegations, saying that Karti Chidambaram should first look at developing the Congress in Tamil Nadu first, where he says his father, Senior Chidambaram, could not even become a state president. And now even BJP leader Annamalai has responded.
Anna DMK, a powerful political party and a legacy political party in Tamil Nadu, unfortunately has lost his independence. It is now a wholly owned subsidiary of the BJP. Even for any small internal problem, they'll have to run to Delhi for arbitration. That very clearly shows that they have lost their independence, and the people of Tamil Nadu have lost confidence in them because they don't behave like an independent political party anymore.
It's clear that the cracks between DMK and Congress ally is wide open now. This is a plight of Congress. Congress is reaching its oblivion in Tamil Nadu. They are hanging on a small thread of hope. That's the reality. Rather than looking at reviving the Congress, trying to throw mud at AIADMK, which got the mandate of Tamil Nadu people and ruled Tamil Nadu for 31 years, since its inception in 50 years, with a strong legacy of Dravidian ideology. Congress at Tamil Nadu state trying to throw mud at us, it's nothing but a big mockery.
Days after TVK chief Vijay's show of strength in Trichy and Ariyalur, the Tamil Nadu BJP has slammed him, calling him to be a replica of the DMK when the DMK was the opposition in Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu BJP leader Vinod Selvam alleges that TVK acts with a Naxal mindset, as he calls it, scuttling development just the way the DMK as an opposition party had done. TVK has slammed the BJP, calling it a party that's not in tune with the mindset of the common man, and that the national party only nurtures what he calls crony capitalism. Here is the face-off.
ஒரு புது குழந்தை டீப் ஸ்டேட்டுக்கு பிறந்திருக்கு. அந்த குழந்தை நம்ம சாதாரணமா நினைத்து விட கூடாது. ஏன்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா அந்த டீப் ஸ்டேட் ஒரு பழைய குழந்தைக்கு வயசாயிருச்சு. அந்த குழந்தை பேர் திமுக. அந்த குழந்தைக்கு வயசாயிருச்சு. இப்ப திமுக ஆப்போசிஷனா இருக்கும்போது எப்படி டெவலப்மெண்ட் எல்லாம் தடுத்தாங்களோ அதே போல அந்த டீப் ஸ்டேட்டோட புது குழந்தை புதுசா பிறந்து வந்திருக்கு. அந்த குழந்தையோட பேரு விஜய். என்ன திமுக பண்ணாங்களோ, திமுக ஆப்போசிஷனா இருக்கும்போது என்னெல்லாம் வளர்ச்சியை தடுத்தாலும் அதே போல இன்னைக்கு அப்படியே டெக்ஸ்ட் புக் டூல் கிட் சொல்லுவாங்க, அந்த டூல் கிட் டெக்ஸ்ட் புக், திமுகவோட டூல் கிட் டெக்ஸ்ட் புக் அப்படியே காப்பி அடிச்சு அதே ப்ராபகேண்டா. எந்த வளர்ச்சியும் வரக்கூடாது, வளர்ச்சி வர அண்ணன் பாண்டியன் அழகா சொன்னாங்க. இது மைண்ட் செட் ஆஃப் த நக்சல்ஸ் அப்படின்னு. அந்த நக்சல் மைண்ட் செட்டோட இன்னைக்கு டிவிகே அப்படிங்கிற கட்சி துவங்கப்பட்டிருக்கு. இதை வேர்லயே கிள்ளி எரிய வேண்டி நம்மளோட கட்டாயம், நிச்சயமாக அதை செய்வோம், அதுல உறுதியாக இருக்கிறோம்.
Condemned Mr. Vinod B. Selvam's statement on Thandai Periyar and Tamil Vetri Kalagam ideology. What he is saying is Tamil Vetri Kalagam have a Naxal mindset. Brother, Tamil Vetri Kalagam become the voice of voiceless people. Vetti Thalapathy reflect the voice of common Tamil people and sentiment of Tamil people. It may be a Parandu issue, it may be a NEET issue. Vetti Thalapathy reflect the common man's feelings. Last 11 years of union government, practicing a crony capitalism. A few corporates grow day by day, but a common man's life, not that much change. This is a governance given by BJP. As far as of policy is concerned, fundamentally the BJP's DNA is anti-secularism, anti-social justice. From Mandal movement to till, BJP is always against social justice principles. Why they afraid of Tandai Periyar? Tandai Periyar, who's a champion of social justice movement, from first constitutional amendment to till, Tamil Nadu is a land of social justice, who's a pioneer of social justice to whole India. Tamil people never ever accept Tamil BJP. The history shows that from 1952 to 2021 elections, all the elections, in assembly elections, BJP never crossed 4%.
There's some breaking news coming from the Madras High Court. The court has directed the Tamil Nadu police to frame guidelines that will be applicable to all political parties seeking permission to hold rallies and meetings in the run-up to the 2026 assembly elections. In fact, the petition was moved by actor Vijay's TVK, alleging that the party is targeted and the police impose several tough restrictions that cannot be fulfilled. And the court has also now directed the police to frame rules to collect deposit money from political parties in a bid to collect compensation if there are damages to public property. The court also questioned if any compensation was collected from TVK following reports of damages to public properties. And this comes in the backdrop of Vijay's show of strength both in Madura in Trichy and in Ariyalur later, in which there was a massive show of strength and there were reports of damages to public properties as well. As an observation, the court also asked Vijay as party president to be a model, asking his cadre, particularly pregnant women and the disabled, to not come to his meetings, and questioned who would be responsible if there's any loss of life or injuries, particularly when people stand in such high points. In fact, Vijay had, just before the rally, had appealed to pregnant women and disabled people to not come to his public rally. More news from Tamil Nadu. The war of words continuing between TTV Dinakaran, the leader who was expelled from AIADMK many years ago and who recently walked out of the NDA, and AIADMK General Secretary and Chief Edappadi Palaniswamy, particularly over allegations that the AIADMK gets orders from the BJP at the center and that EPS, the AIADMK chief, was hiding his face after his recent meeting with Amit Shah in Delhi, something EPS has denied, and here is the response by EPS for TTV's allegations.
Yeah, yesterday he was covering his face and coming out of Honorable Home Minister's residence. Why should he do that? What is the necessity for a political leader to come out from an alliance partner, national leader's residence? Why should he cover his face? What is the necessity for it? So I am calling him as the masked Palaniswamy. Already people from Delhi, they all clearly knows that AIADMK will not accept Palaniswamy as Chief Minister candidate. How can we accept? He has ditched us, he has betrayed us.
நேற்றைய தினம் முகமூடி அணிஞ்சிக்கிட்டு போனாருங்கிறார். இது எந்த விதத்தில் சரியா இருக்கும்? நீ பார்த்தீங்கன்னா நான் முகமூடி முடிச்சிட்டுலாம் போகல, அவர் தான் முகமூடி அணிஞ்சு அண்ணா திமுக முடிச்சார்.
With 7 months for polls in Tamil Nadu, MNM chief, actor and now Rajya Sabha MP Kamal Hassan has begun a 4-day consultation with his party functionaries in terms of identifying constituencies where his party can contest and efforts to be made to strengthen in areas where the party is stronger. In fact, this will be MNM's first election as an ally of the ruling DMK, and the party hopes this time it will be able to send members to the Tamil Nadu Assembly. Just before the 2019 Lok Sabha elections, Kamal Hassan had launched his party at that time as an alternative to the two Dravidian arch rivals in Tamil Nadu. but his party could not win even a single seat in the 2019 and 2021 assembly elections. Kamal Hassan himself lost his election in Coimbatore in a whisker to BJP's Vanadi Srinivasan. However, before the 2024 Lok Sabha elections, the party joined hands with the ruling DMK, calling it to be the need of the hour to stand united against the BJP. At the end of this consultation, the party hopes to get some clarity in terms of the seats it can identify to fight, and it can give that list to the DMK possibly to get as many seats as possible. Well, that's a wrap on news from Tamil Nadu. Now it's over to my colleague Uma Sudhir in Hyderabad for all the rain updates. Uma, it's over to you.
Thank you, Sam. Warm and sunny right now in Hyderabad, but unprecedented spells of very, very heavy rain in the evenings over the last few days has caused huge chaos and also loss of lives. Yesterday in the evening, several parts of the city experienced anything between 10 centimeters to 18 centimeters of rain, and that left many people stranded on the roads for several hours with traffic jams extending over kilometers and people being left in the lurch with flooded roads and not knowing what to do. In the new Balkampet bridge area, there is a 27-year-old Sharfuddin who was on his way back home from work. Because there was a function at home, he decided to go ahead in the flooded waters without waiting for it to recede, and he was caught in the flash floods and got washed away. In fact, when the people who were around him actually took him out of the waters, he was wearing his helmet, his raincoat, his mobile phone was on him, and yet the 27-year-old could not be saved. He has a 2-year-old child as well, and he was the only earning member of his family. Just on Sunday, we saw 3 people, again in their mid-20s, being washed away in a very similar manner because of the flash floods that happened because of unprecedented downpour that came in. Today, Hyderabad Police Commissioner C.V. Anand spoke about the kind of downpour that the city is experiencing and considered that for 5 to 6 centimeters, even up to 7 centimeters, the city may be able to cope. But in the last few days, we have had rains extending from 10 to 15 to 18 centimeters, and that's the reason Hyderabad has turned into a kind of a chaotic area, especially in the evenings during the traffic jams. And he said his men are out there trying to help the people. There is also drones that have been deployed by the municipal corporation in the Musi area to try and monitor the Musi river, which is getting flooded in multiple areas. The forecast over the next few days also, people being asked to, in fact, now the advisory is for them to take the utmost precautions and not step out when there are this kind of rains and flooding. Now we go across to Andhra Pradesh to my colleague Ashish Pandey. Ashish, the assembly session has begun in Andhra Pradesh, and at this time we have the AP liquor scam investigation gathering heat, should I say, with the Enforcement Directorate as well, carrying out simultaneous raids in multiple states over 20 locations. Tell us more details. What are the Enforcement Directorate officials actually probing?
In fact, today in Assembly is the first day of a monsoon session of Andhra Pradesh Assembly, and in fact in Assembly also, the Excise Minister mentioned about the AP liquor scam. If we talk about the ED investigation into the scam, this investigation was taken up by ED in May this year. In fact, if you go into the background of this whole case, the liquor scam of Andhra Pradesh, what is alleged that during 2019 to 2024 tenure of YS Jagan Mohan Reddy under YSRCP government rule, the government prepared a new AP liquor policy, and that policy made a loss to the state exchequer. That's what the current TDP government alleged, the NDA government alleged. In fact, after coming to the power in 2024, the TDP government, NDA government under Chandrababu Naidu, they in fact tabled a white paper inside the assembly. There also they made allegation, and they made in fact mention about almost 3,200 to 3,500 crores of exchequer loss to Andhra Pradesh state. Later on, CID taken up the investigation during NDA regime in 2024, later part of the 2024 of year 2024. After CID investigation, they started investigating. They submitted a preliminary inquiry report. Based on that report, SIT was constituted by the NDA government, and later on, based on the SIT FIR, ECIR was registered by ED in May this year. Remember, in this investigation, 11 crore in cash was found by SIT in one of the raid in July this year. So, raid cash were found. The allegations are that kickbacks were paid to the persons who were in power during 2019 to 2024. In fact, if we talk about the accused who were named in this whole investigation by SIT as accused number 1 is Raj Kasireddy, the then IT advisor of the then Chief Minister Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy. So clearly, it's a high-profile case. Now ED has started investigating 5 states, multiple raids. We need to wait what ED says about this raid. Back to you, Uma.
Thank you, Ashish. News now from Kerala, where in fact the Kerala High Court has ordered that there should be a vigilance probe into what is being seen as missing gold from the Dwarapala at the Sabarimala temple, the Swami Ayyappa temple that is hugely revered not just in Kerala but across the country. What the court is now saying is that the Dwarapalas, or the idols that are placed at the entrance of the Sanctum Sanctorum of the Ayyappa temple, those gold plates, in fact the copper plates that are plated with gold, were in fact sent for replating in 2019, and the weight of the plates that were sent across had decreased from 48 kg, from 42 kgs by about 4.54 kg to about 38 kgs. Where did that go missing? That's a big question that the Vigilance Department is now asking. They're actually also looking at who had authorized the removal of those copper plates that were meant to be plated once more with gold. They were told that because there was wear and tear, the Tantri had taken such a decision, but now the High Court not amused about the missing gold and therefore asking for a vigilance probe, and has also asked the Travancore Devasthavam Board to cooperate with the investigating agency. They will be looking at who authorized this, why permissions were not taken, and also look at what kind of recommendations should be made in order to keep the properties of the Swami Ayyappa temple safe in Kerala. Moving now to news from Karnataka, and I'm joined by Ritu Rajpurohit, my colleague from there, for some breaking news on the Dasara celebrations that are big in the state of Karnataka. Ritu?
As that the Karnataka is approaching to celebrate world-famous Mysuru Dasara festival, you see now there has been a very big development that has taken place, where that the whole matter of the guest invitation has reached to the doors of the Supreme Court. What we really know that now that the matter is with the Supreme Court, because the Karnataka High Court just a couple of days back had made it very clear that inviting a person from a different faith does not mean any sort of a violation of a constitutional rights of this petitioner, and thus the government can go ahead to invite whom they really want to. We did have a lot of political reactions as well on this, but then now that the matter has gone to the Supreme Court as well, because there has been an objection that has been raised against the Karnataka government's decision. Remember, there were also BJP leaders who has come out to tell that inviting Banu Mushtaq in fact is going to hurt the sentiments of the Hindus, and this government should really take this matter up seriously and not invite Banu Mushtaq. Now all that needs to be seen, what is going to happen when that she will be, in fact if the Supreme Court also rejects this all out, that if she's going to be invited there, how is it going to be absorbed by the BJP, that needs to be seen. But meanwhile there's a bite that we are leaving for you from the advocate Gaurav. Watch this.
आया था इस मैटर का पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट लिटिगेशन के माध्यम से आया था, रिट पिटिशन फाइल किया था मैं कर्नाटक हाई कोर्ट में। 15 तारीख को डिसमिस हो चुका, इसलिए हम सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑफ इंडिया में स्पेशल लीव पिटिशन के माध्यम से आया है इधर। अभी हम क्या मांग रहे हैं, अभी दसरा सेलिब्रेशन बहुत साल से चल के आ रहा है, हिंदू ट्रेडिशंस के ऊपर बेसिस है एंड आगम शास्त्रा के बेसिस से ये इनाग्रेशन करने का ये है। एंड इनॉग्रेशन में दिया आराधना होगा, पुष्पार्चना होगा और भगवान के लिए पूजा होगा एंड भगवान का मंदिर का प्रीमाइसेस में ही ये सब कार्यक्रम चल रहा है। उसका वजह से हमारा राइट्स वायलेशन हो रहा था, आर्टिकल 25 एंड 26 वायलेशन हो रहा था, इसलिए हम सुप्रीम कोर्ट पे आया है हमारा राइट्स मांगने के लिए। और सीजीआई के पास आज मेंशनिंग हुआ था, अर्जेंसी है ऐसा करके, इसलिए कल हमारा हियरिंग हो रहा है सर।
That's it then on Southern View. Thanking all my colleagues, Ritu, Ashish, Sam, as well as Deepak, and tune in every day at 2 p.m. for all the breaking news and the developments in the south of the country. Thanks so much for watching. Lots more coming up on the other side of a very short break.